I kind of started from just, could I set it in Detroit? I kind of stumbled upon this time period in the early 19th century of the 1830s where it's kind of not yet a state, not yet a full-blown industrial town, but like a frontier city.
And obviously Motown didn't exist yet.
Right. Yeah. This is before Motown. This is before the auto industry.
There was the real challenge of creating this melody to text that already exists because you want it to sound clean and natural. You don't want phrases to sound janky. You want it to sound like this is how somebody would actually say this or sing this. Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation about the music of As You Like It. I'm here with Kelli Rademacher, the director of As You Like It, and my name is Cayla Stus. I'm the music director. So let's talk a little bit about the historical context that you chose for this production, setting the show in 1830s in Detroit. Can you talk a little bit about finding that setting and why it's so significant?
Sure. So I kind of started from just, could I set it in Detroit? Because it just seemed like a fun thing to do, kind of right where we are. And I love Detroit. I just moved back in 2021, at the end of 2021. Wow. And so I kind of stumbled upon this time period in the early 19th century of the 1830s where it's kind of not yet a state, not yet a full-blown industrial town, but like a frontier city where you still have the influence of the fur trade and the French and the Native Americans. And you had the first wave of immigrants coming from like Ireland and Germany and different places in Europe. And you had the first kind of anti-slavery rebellions or actions that eventually led to the Underground Railroad. That was people who were part of the Underground Railroad here in the Detroit area. Yeah. So all of those elements just really, I felt like fit with this time of transition that As You Like It takes place in, of kind of shifting world paradigms. Is it the world of the new Duke Frederick, who is the usurping Duke that takes power from his brother, or is it the world of the old Duke who is living like they did in the Golden Age in the forest, as Charles says, and having this different way of life in relationship to nature? And so I thought that kind of transition moment of the city, it fits so well with it. And then there turned out to just be so many ways that was the case, right down to like the French influence in the play. Like a lot of the characters are French. So that was really fun. And then in terms of the music then, so I started first kind of looking at what was the music at that time period in Detroit, in Michigan, on the frontier, like the American culture at the time. It's like relatively new nation, right? That's still kind of defining itself in a lot of ways.
And obviously Motown didn't exist yet.
Right. Yeah. This is before Motown. This is before the auto industry, and but very much like the Detroit as this place of like grit and ingenuity, I think was in development. So a lot of it is influenced by like the folk music of the European cultures, like the Irish and German and others coming over, and then a lot of influence of like the slaves and African Americans at the time, and the music that they sang, and then a lot that you wouldn't want to share or repeat from like the minstrelsy of the time. Those were kind of the main elements as I started to research as far as like what was defining the culture. It's like She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, which we use in the prologue, that has kind of an interesting history and is a song that everyone knows from that time. We all like sing it in school. And then you kind of took it and made it a fun way in the prologue to kind of warm people up for what's the time period we're in. And I kind of took all that and then like how I wanted the songs to feel for the story. And we talked a lot about that. And then I kind of handed it over to you with your expertise. So how did you take that into the music?
Yeah, I mean, after our initial conversation, we had maybe an hour and a half long phone call just talking about every single song and every single scene. Once that was kind of handed off to me, there was a lot of creative liberty to kind of look at the style at hand, which was, in a word, folk music, and also incorporate some elements of magic and some mystical features, because we are in a forest setting and it's not entirely,
and Rosalind calls herself a magician.
Yeah, exactly. Whether that's true or not,
right?
Who's to say? Or maybe Ambiance is the magician all along.
Yeah. It definitely feels magical.
It does. It really does. And I think the music really brings out that kind of magical feeling, and that's really something that I wanted for the ambiance of the music. No pun intended, because ambiance sounds so similar to ambiance, which almost feels intentional.
Yeah.
It almost feels intentional.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's how Shakespeare wanted it to go. So once Kelli and I had our initial conversations, I took the music and just started writing down ideas, taking voice notes, and putting things together. I think I had a session where most of the music was written within an hour.
Yeah.
Where I just kind of sat down and I had ideas, and one after the other. I think I started with Greenwood Tree, and then I moved to Winter Winds, and then I moved to Lusty Horn. I was like, oh, this is going pretty quickly. And then I had another, session with myself where I would just refine and make everything tightened a little bit. But the actual process of writing the music was fairly fast.
Yeah.
I think I'm so used to writing music at this point because I've been writing since I was 9 years old. But there was the real challenge of creating this melody to text that already exists, because you want it to sound clean and natural. You don't want phrases to sound janky. You want it to sound like this is how somebody would actually say this or sing this.
Can you describe maybe like Lusty Horn as an example, or like how does if you're taking like the folk style from that time period, how does that come into play in the actual music itself when you're creating it versus like a different style that you might use?
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually write in that style at all.
Yeah.
I grew up writing pop music and transitioned into more jazz and R&B and pop combined a little bit. So folk is definitely not something I typically dip my toe into, but I've had some past experience, so I kind of had to go based on my past experience and also listening to audio examples that both you gave me and that I found on my own of what did folk music really sound like at this time. And then once I had that element, I was also able to incorporate some of my own tendencies and my own little writing quirks into the songs as well. And, Lusty Horn, for that song, I just started with with the chord progression. I found the chord progression, and then the melody kind of came, having this light and jaunty, like, what shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear. Yeah. And then came the idea to make it a call and response with the foresters and the other foresters. Yeah. Having Malin do the call, and then the other foresters do the response. Which
it really is like so much a song that you want to move to. Like you hear the chords and it's just like calling you to dance. It's so fun.
And it's nothing fancy. It's the same 3 chords repeating, and then the refrain is just 2 chords that repeat themselves. It's nothing extravagant, but it's the way that it's performed and presented that makes it a lot of fun. Yeah. Which is part of the magic of bringing music to life in a show like this. Right. And kind of recreating music that already exists. I tried to avoid listening to other versions of the songs, actually. Yeah. So that I could really be like, okay, what is Cayla's interpretation of this? How would I do this? And then how would it sound in this time period?
Yeah. That's great.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Behind the Bard.
You're watching Behind the Bard.
This is Behind the Bard.
Thanks for tuning in for Behind the Bard.
Welcome to Behind the Bard.
This is Behind the Bard.
Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Bard, your home for conversations about Shakespeare theater and the people behind the production.
This show is made possible by Shakespeare Royal Oak, a professional outdoor theater company in Royal Oak, Michigan.
Each summer, we bring Shakespeare plays to life with a talented group of local professional artists, performers, and creatives from across the community.
To learn more about the shows, the artists, and how to get involved, visit ShakespeareRoyalOak.com.
You can watch Behind the Bard on YouTube and find more conversations, performances, and behind-the-scenes stories on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Full podcast episodes are available on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Just search at Behind the Bard. I'm Jared Clark, producer of Behind the Bard. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the park.